Welcome everyone. My name is Jeremy Allens, the co-founder of Yasmo and LeadQuizzes, and today I'm so excited to bring to you a friend of mine, Dr. Alan Christensen. Is a New York Times bestselling author, and he has his local practice here in Scottsdale. Alan, welcome. So excited to have you here.
Awesome. Glad to be with you, Jeremy.
Cool. So today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be doing a walkthrough of Alan's case study and basically how he's using his quiz sales funnel and using that to drive people to a call to action of signing up for a consult and coming into his practice and becoming a new patient. Cool. So Alan, I guess let's just first start with the results. So what has this been able to do? So the numbers on about $1,000 in ad spend a month, we're generating 1,600 emails per month. We're generating about between 40 to 60 consults, people requesting a consultation every month, and then closing 57% of those people. Mm-hmm. And what that all really comes down to is each client for you is worth about $1,200 a year, and it's costing about $60 to generate a new patient. So
pretty easy math.
Yeah. So you said that's something that you guys have been really happy with, and it's we've gotten there a lot quicker than we thought we would.
Yeah, just a few months into it, and I think the very first few weeks even we're seeing it make sense right away, right out of the gate.
Yeah, cool. So I guess today we're just going to start just going right through the campaign. So I'm going to share my screen, kind of share what we did with the quiz and what went into that, and what went into the page where people sign up for a consultation, how that's a compelling offer. And then we're going to talk about the behind the scenes, when someone comes in and it comes in for that consultation, what happens then. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. So Alan, why don't you help walk us through this? So we took this quiz, you already had a thyroid quiz. We adjusted a little bit so it would work a little bit better with Facebook and with our software. So maybe walk us through this. I'll just kind of enter in some basic things with the quiz, but tell us what you're really trying to get out of the quiz here.
There's so many people that have thyroid disease and are not clear on that, and so many that have it and are not sure if their symptoms are from it still not being treated well. So these are some of the top ones, and it's an easy thing to look through a quiz and get a sense on how much this could be affecting someone's health. And quizzes are great in general because you really get the person thinking about what their concerns are and identifying them and being more precise about them. And they can also be great tools for tracking progress. So we can come back and look at a quiz after some point of intervention or contact with someone, and just use a numerical score to use a baseline and use an after effect to see clear results and clear positive changes.
Awesome. Yeah. So what we did with this quiz, you already had a couple quizzes in place, one for adrenal, one for thyroid, but I don't think you were using it in this way yet, driving Facebook traffic to it, were you?
You were not.
Okay. So what we did, go ahead.
Sorry, so we had done in the past some traffic from Facebook and also from some Bing ads, but really didn't have the strategy to make it work that well.
Okay. So basically what we took people with was are you experiencing these types of symptoms? Are you having a thyroid problem? Are you treating it correctly? It could be because of a thyroid issue. How likely or what kind of risk are you at of having a thyroid issue? So they come from the ad. They land on the page we first showed that said start my quiz. They answer about 16 questions. And then based on the logic that, Alan, that you give us, we tell them you're at high, medium, low risk or whatever someone else's quiz would be. So it's essentially a quiz that's going to give them value just by answering some questions.
For sure. And based on whatever the results are, they get appropriate information and good action steps that will move them towards better health and very specific to what their level of risk is.
Sure. So the big thing here, I mentioned in the beginning, we've been collecting 1,600 emails a month. So that's regardless of whether someone signs up for a consult or not, this is where we're capturing it. So we'll come back to that in a minute. So on here, basically, we say, here's your results. So what we do is we cover kind of what the results are of based on your quiz and what are some things that you can do. And then there's a call to action. So this one's take care of your thyroid today. So if they want to start taking action right away and they want to start to get things right away, we talk about there's some free gifts, a free personal visit. Not only will you get a free personal visit, but you'll get a free hand-signed copy of Alan's book. And then you also get a complimentary 96 food intolerance test if you decide you'll like us. So I'm going to just jump to this page real quick. So this is the page where we're describing the consultation. So Alan, do you want to walk us through like what we decided to come up with here and why we did it?
For sure. So I've seen many models to where a direct interaction can be so powerful in terms of building relationship, or helping someone to make a larger decision. So the way this works is someone who does choose to, they can come in and just chat with one of our doctors for a few minutes. No obligations, and get a sense on what shift would be possible for them, what types of timeframes are likely, what are steps involved, what would be typical cost to anticipate, and have a clear sense on what their journey to recovery, how realistic, how plausible, how quick, and how efficient that could all play out. And it's so powerful also for both sides, both the doctors and the potential patient, to just meet one another and just know if there would be chemistry, if they'd like to work with them, and just we want to offer them the gift for just coming in. So I've got a book which I published a few years ago. Someone else who is doing this, I'm sure there's many other types of materials they could use, info products or a good booklet or a good physical, something they could give someone as a gift. We also made it to where a common part of thyroid disease is just having some immune response against foods. So a critical thing is to know which foods work well for someone. And anyone initiating their care, we want to sort that out. So we're offering a reward for those who are coming in and taking us up on this to say, look, we're also going to give you this as part of it, just complimentary, rather than typical a la carte cost, just to thank you for following through and connecting with us via this ad and making this happen.
Awesome. So Alan, I remember like when we first went through kind of like brainstorming what would potentially work for you, and I came in like sat down in the office with you. And what I really like wanted to share with you guys is I think the results of these, based on my experience, has always been how compelling of an offer it can be. And I shared an example, like one of the clients we worked with in the past, Symmetry Gym, we ran like a free consultation offer for them. They're a gym in Dubai and they charge like a couple $1,000s a month. It's very expensive, very high end. And we would just drive people to like this free consultation, and like it worked, it was profitable, but it wasn't like really moving the needle, and we weren't really driving like a ton of consultations for them. And so when we like started experimenting with like what kind of like offer could we come up with, like one of the offers we tested was like come in for a free week of training at the gym, and all of a sudden their numbers exploded. Like so many people started signing up, and of course once they got in the gym, like they were able to have that personal interaction and really close them. So Alan, like share with us like what are some of the objections that you see that someone might have like applying for like a consultation like this, and how you think that we were able to overcome it by really building the value of like this personal visit, like a signed copy, and even like a food intolerance test if they decided to become a client.
I think those are big factors. And in terms of just, we're also ad fatigued nowadays. It takes more to break through that. And like you said with the gym, once someone can come in and make that personal contact, if that would be a good fit, that's very apparent for them. We know so much by just body language and by subtle cues of the environment that we're in. When we see if it's something we like, we want to be a part of or not. So just getting someone to come in, whatever it takes, I think is really worth that, to allow them to experience you directly and know if this is what they need or not.
Awesome. So with this, like as we said, what we offered was a 15-minute consultation. They'd come in and talk to a doctor. They get a free copy of a book, and they'd also get like a free food intolerance test if they became a client. So I think for anyone watching this, like the point is not to have like you need a book and you need a food intolerance test. I think it's really about like building the value of like, here's what I can offer you that's going to be like so compelling that it's going to be like they're going to want to come in. So even with this page, I think this page could be tested and improved quite a bit. But that being said, like we're able to pull like 40 to 60 people a month that want to sign up for consultations, and essentially it's saying, here's what we're going to offer you. Here's a couple testimonials and a little bit about Alan. So we're not even like totally pushing your credentials probably as much as we could. We're really like just focusing on them and what's the value of them coming in.
Yeah. I think we may be coming to this as well, but of those that did decide to come in, my experience has been in the past, I would do a lot of like public outreach or public lectures or events to meet people. And so often someone would come in as a new patient in my early years of practice, and they'd say, hey, I came to your talk last year. I came to your talk 6 months ago. It was more, I would do a presentation, do an event when I was just starting out. And then the next day, suddenly everyone was like not there wanting to see me. And I thought, wow, what did I do wrong? I had no clue about time frames. So I'm very confident that a lot of these people we've been able to help and serve and give information to, still may come in. We still may connect with more of them, even the ones that did not with the first passes.
Okay, awesome. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now, and I want to walk through with you, like, what are some of the stuff that goes behind the scenes. So we covered the quiz, we captured their name and email afterwards. So like you just mentioned, out of the 1,600 people, if only 40 to 60 are requesting a consult, which is still quite a bit, there's still like a solid 1,350 people that would potentially be interested in this. So we'll get back to that in a second. But we covered the compelling offer, we covered the quiz. All right. So one thing that I've found working with people is that another thing that you're going to have to deal with is now that they've opted in, they said that they're interested, they want to come in for a consult. What is your guys' process around getting them to actually show up and get that consultation scheduled?
What we do is we have one of our offsite phone representatives who has a listing of those who have opted in, and she just reaches out to them directly, coordinates a time, and sets up that visit for them. Okay, so they basically get this list at the end of the day, or do they? I don't think they get it immediately. I think they get a list of everybody at the end of the day, and then they just call them up and schedule it. Yep. Okay, so timing is important, but obviously you guys are busy. But even if someone had more time, maybe they could call them immediately after they schedule, and they'd probably get a better show up rate. Sure, that could happen. Okay, and then when you schedule them, do you guys try and scheduling as quickly as possible? Yeah, within the first 24 hours. And I'm honestly not certain if that person receives a list at the end of the day or if they are coming in real time. So I could be wrong either way about that. Yeah, I think just for you guys, I think it's set up where it's sent out as a list, but I may be wrong. Okay, so once you guys get someone scheduled, I'm assuming they get scheduled within a week or so to come in after their call. Well, per their availability, but we keep slots available within the next 24 to 48 hours, so someone can come in just right away. Okay, that's huge. Okay, so then once they come in, walk me through what is your process to actually get them to become a client? Then what's the experience? What do you go through in the 15-minute consult, and how do you talk about next steps? Well, the doctors really make a sense about having it be more about the person and just getting clear on what their needs are and what their pain points have been and what their frustrations have been and what they would see differently about their lives if the thyroid was not on the table, if it was no longer a factor for them. And then just briefly, maybe within about a tenth of that time, talk about the process, the time frames, the logistics, but really giving the person a chance to share their story and be transparent with what their personal needs are and have them be heard. Okay. So do you find it's is it a balance, or is it more one or the other of is it really just hearing them out and saying yes, these things that you're feeling and that you're going through are from a thyroid issue, or these are common things and we understand what you're going through? Or is it a lot of education of this is why all of this is happening, and what's that like? There's different levels of education and awareness, and some people do have just more questions about logistics of why it comes about. And there are some too to where it's probably not the case for them that this is even relevant. And that's a great thing to figure out right away and have them get directed towards perhaps other specialists that could serve them more appropriately. So to some extent, there are individual things that will vary, but the most part of it is just having someone have clarity on the relevance of this and the possible outcomes, and just having a sense about being validated and being heard and knowing that there can be a positive shift for them. Okay, awesome. So once you go through that process, and I think that for you guys is about 15 minutes, what do you do then next? Let's say if they sign up, but if they don't sign up, maybe they're I want to talk to my husband or my wife about this. What do you guys do to kind of close that loop so that they don't fall out? Sure. We do also offer a bonus for them for getting scheduled, getting the process started that day. Another bonus discount off their care, just to give a time-sensitive relevance to it. And, and reward those that do or act early and do decide promptly, because it's so much about just momentum and your health, whatever it is you're trying to improve. There's no point in delaying, it's just acting on it and not letting yourself stay in the same place you've been stuck in for a long period of time. And it takes that incentive and momentum to really shift things forward. We want to really work with people that are in that place and in that readiness. So as far as those that do not, we've got a nurture campaign built up, and that's for those that there's one variable set for it for those who have done a consult and one for those who have not. And we're just giving them more resources and more education, more ideas about their diet, their nutritional needs that are distinct, what to look for medically, and then also keeping them in the loop about upcoming offers and revisiting the whole idea about having the conversation for those that did not come in.
Okay, awesome.
I've seen some discussions about processes that might take 5 pretty direct contacts for many people to finally reach that comfort level and be at that state of readiness. So yeah, just being in it for the long game with them.
Okay, so that's good. So you guys nurture the people that may not close right away that come into the office, and then as far as like if you have 1,600 people opt in a month and about, let's say 1,550 of them don't sign up for a consult right away, what do you guys do to try and get them to like re-engage in that process and come back and sign up for a consult?
Yeah, so I don't think I delineated that very well. So we've got two overlapping nurture campaigns, one of which is for those that did opt in but did not physically come into the consult. And then one has some added elements for those that did come in, just some different wording to it.
Okay. Okay, so you put some intention behind that. This is awesome, Alan. Is there anything else that you think would be helpful for someone that is implementing like a process like this, or anything you wish you would have learned earlier?
I guess just having we did do this. I think it was probably a bit clunky at first, but just having everyone on the staff that's involved with the touch points being very clear on the whole process. For example, our schedulers, some were not as clear about this process, and some were reaching out to them directly for it, and we don't really do the consults otherwise in a typical sense. So I think just having the whole team that could have any interaction be aware of all the elements and implications of it. So, yeah.
Okay. So I think, like, Alan, one of the things that I really liked about like this talk is that I think the stuff we've been doing, I really think it's all built around like process and not necessarily saying like, oh, well, this is effective because Alan, you're this best-selling offer. Like, I'm hearing all these different things about like, well, you're contacting them within 24 hours, you're getting them scheduled within an appointment within 24 to 48 if they're available. You're offering like incentives for them to sign up immediately. It was just good sales practice to build that momentum like you're talking about. And then you have these nurture campaigns in place to like follow up with people that didn't necessarily sign up or even people that did sign up. So I really like that. And I really appreciate you like sharing some of these tips, even though they may sound like simple and very easy, they're extremely effective. And they're like the basics that I think a lot of people need to implement for something like this.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, Alan, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you were able to come on and share this.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Awesome. All right, we'll talk to you soon.
Okay.